Yeah, man. Easily Offended Podcast, man. We are definitely in the building. You know what I'm saying? Episode 72.
Wow. 72.
72. We almost to 100, nigga.
Damn.
Almost to 100.
Almost to 100.
Man.
Yeah.
Man.
It's funny. I was, not to cut you off,
Mm-hmm.
I had just seen this clip yesterday from LaRussell. You know who LaRussell is from in Oakland.
Yeah.
know. And I'm not really, he makes pretty decent music. I'm not really a huge fan of his music, but I'm a fan of his work, if that makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
But he said that, before you give up on something, before you think you're good at something, do 100. Do it like, don't give up before you do 100 of them.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I'm saying? And like what you do and how you feel and how good you are at it at one is going to be way different when you get to 100.
Facts.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, like I said, we started it and 2 years in, we got a nice notoriety. We have some very legendary guests on the building.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We got another legendary guest in the building today, Chicago history.
Speak of the devil.
You know what I'm saying?
Not me, though, if any 5%ers are watching. No.
Not literally. That was nice.
But we got Dj.Rtc in the building from fucking Ruby Hornet.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? All those good things back in the day. Good website.
Yeah.
Closed sessions.
Yep.
Legend conversations.
Yep.
Great conversations. Great collabos. We were just talking about the Currency closed session and how that is still one of my favorite closed sessions to this day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? With Young Rody. And my God. I just had to go back to memory lane. I might have to make that my ringtone again.
There you go.
Is that still a thing? Do people still do ringtones?
Unfortunately, yes.
You can. You can set up like on an iPhone. You can have it play a song.
Yeah. Well, like with Samsung, if before they took down that mixtapes and that PIF, whatever, you was able to download onto your music. So when you go to your ringtone, you can go to my music and pick whatever song that you want. Like, you know what I'm saying? I still got the classic Styles P mixtapes, the Bad Boy mixtapes, I got all the G-Unit mixtapes, all the Dipset mixtapes. I did all that right when I heard they was finna shut down. I'm like, let me just download all this shit right now so it can be all my focus. You can't download shit now.
Nah,
like
not like that.
Anything from the mixtape era is like dead. It's one dude on IG called Mixtape Classics, whatever. And like you'll hit him up and he'll send you a DAT of like, say if you want all Locks mixtapes, he'll put like 30 mixtapes on the DAT.
Oh wow.
And send it to you. But you know what I'm saying, for you to plug in your computer and download it, whatever. Right. But I'd be looking like, what happens if I give you my $30, $40 and
right.
This ain't what I was, you know what I'm saying? It's a whole bunch of bullshit. Yep. You know what I'm saying? Your cousin was DJing like, doing this shit what I got.
It could just be his music.
Yeah, that would piss me off. You know what do I hate? Like sometimes when I go on YouTube and like say if a new record drop and you can't find it, because I'm not really a SoundCloud person. So like you can't find it on Spotify, you can't find it on there. I'd be like, man, fuck it, it's on YouTube.
Right.
And you go to YouTube and there's some whack ass nigga that'd be like new Drake record, Heat. And it'd be like this nigga from like Memphis or something just sounding horrible.
They'll title that'll title it that way intentionally to get views because people will click on it thinking it's something else.
Yeah,
it's like, gotcha, bitch, it's my song.
That Napster era where it'd be like intergalactic remix featuring Jay-Z, Lil Wayne, blah blah blah.
Or then you download it and then like the DJ is like has his drop all through the fucking song.
Oh my god!
You know what I'm saying? Like every 10 seconds, like DJ scratch and sniff.
Or I hate when they rewind the record too many times.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Oh my God! Like a Funk Flex bomb. Like, God damn it. God damn it. And you also a DJ, my man.
Yeah. Yep.
Man, so like, let's go down to the history of it.
Yeah.
I was reading a couple of interviews, seeing something, and I know you don't really do too many interviews. Mm-hmm. I've seen most of the interviews were like 5 years ago, 13 years ago. I saw one when you had first started.
Okay.
And then I saw one where you had interviewed Mano, which is family, you know what I'm saying? Mano and Hollywood Hope. Yep. I don't know where y'all was at, but I remember that interview. But how long you actually been in the footprint of the hip hop game? Like, what made you fall in love with hip hop in the first place?
That's a great question. I think I probably was seeing it before I even really knew fully about it, but just like growing up in Hyde Park and just being around, like walking around or going to Dr. Wax. So then you're watching the box or MTV, and I'd see it, or see the videos. But I think what made me fall in love with it deeper was like when I started to understand that it was something that existed not just on TV, but this is like, okay, then I go to Dr. Wax and I'm like, oh, this is like kind of what I'm seeing. And then they're putting in my hand like local artists. So it's like, oh, people are doing this around here, not just like, TV back then was like far away. If you were just on TV, there's an assumption like, oh, you're like untouchable, you're rich,
right?
Like,
All the money.
You have a music video, like, oh wow, and then you start to be aware. But I think what I fell in love with was the lyrics, the words. I always loved writing. Wanted to be a writer since I could start writing, and I think like some of the seminal releases, like Mos Def, the Black on Both Sides album, and like the sound bombing stuff, or Lyricist Lounge, and getting into like from Beastie Boys. There was a album at Dr. Wax, an import bootleg of the band Oasis. This was probably when I was 13 or 14.
Yeah. Of Wonderwall fame, if you don't know.
Yeah, of Wonderwall. That's their biggest song, not their best. But definitely of Wonderwall fame.
I actually just saw them like 3 months ago.
You saw Oasis?
Like in live? Or?
Yeah, live. Like, I mean, at my job, we have like these corporate events, and they hire like these old bands.
Oasis was there?
Oasis was at your corporate event.
Holy shit!
Unless there's a misunderstanding who Oasis is.
Yeah,
two dudes.
Yeah.
Are you sure it was Oasis?
I remember hearing.
That's insane.
I remember hearing Wonderwall.
Okay, well, we'll have to talk about that on camera.
Wonderwall. How did
you
Wonderwall
sure it wasn't an Oasis cover band?
That's crazy, bro. If Oasis was at your corporate job,
because they don't tour.
They just announced they're coming back.
Oh, really?
But because they hate each other. But anyway,
right. That's what I'm saying.
But
Wonderwall was
probably their biggest hit.
Yeah. We'll have to play later. Let's go back to it.
So, long story short, Dr. Wax has a bootleg Oasis album called The B-Side Experience. It was like $30-something.
Okay.
My brother is 8 years older than me. He was at the store. He was home for some reason. He was at the store, and I was like, "Yo, can you buy me this Oasis album?" And I don't have a job, so I have no money. But I could trade him some of my CDs. So we get home, and he wants my copy of Ill Communication, which is the Beastie Boys' fourth album. It has Sabotage, was like the big record. Sure Shot. Right. And I hadn't really listened to it in a while, or I think it was one of the things I bought on Columbia House where you could get like 8 CDs for a penny. So one of them, from seeing Sabotage, I probably picked that. So I'd never really listened to it yet. And for some reason, before he wanted with his trade, I just listened to it. And I think because I had even grown a year, 2 years, from 12 to 14 is a big jump.
It is.
So it just hit me in a different way. And then it like listening to that album specifically, it just like fit the surroundings. It's like, oh, I like really relate to what the music. And then Q-Tip is on one of the songs called Get It Together on that album. So then that was when I was like, oh, I'd heard of all these groups, but never really was listening to them. So then it was like, oh, Q-Tip. And then it was like Tribe Called Quest. And then De La Soul's here. And then Wordsworth. And like the Lyricist Lounge dudes. And then, of course, Mos Def. And then by that time, it was a wrap. And then it was like Mos Def and Dilated Peoples. And then I just was in Dr. Wax as much as I could be. Yeah, Taiwan Davis put so many, he was just not giving them to me. I had to buy them, but he was like, yo.
Dwayne was my guy.
Dwayne, okay.
Dwayne, I used to go to Dwayne, be like, hey, you heard this such dude? I'm like, nah. He'd be like, he
when he gave me, I was there once and I was like, yeah, I need something new, blah, blah. He's just like, yo, have you heard of this? And he gave me, it was the first Typical Cats album. And that was like a watershed moment when then it was like, oh, okay, this is like, it's not, I probably heard of Juice and stuff, but then it was like, oh, this is not just here or in the city, but this like the Typical Cats specifically are all doing stuff like WHBK. And it's like, I don't know. It just happened at a right time for me and my musical development. That's where like it started, and then just wanting to do as much as I can, and like I would write these people, write to artists, try to interview them.
That's so crazy. Back in the day, you used to like write
emails and letters.
I remember when I was working with Lawless, he was like, you got to email all the DJs. I had to go on Twitter and just type in DJ. And then have all the DJs pop up, and then go to the profile, copy their email, and just send out King Louie, like just spamming them like over and over and over again.
This was me just writing to the artist, like, can I interview you? I didn't even have a place, like it just. Yeah.
So you just had to imagine of like
wanted to do it.
So did anybody ever say yes?
Yeah, the first person that said yes. A couple people. I don't know if you guys know dudes. His real name's William Wimsett, but he went by Upski, and he's from Hyde Park. He was a graffiti writer. He wrote a book called Bomb the Suburbs.
Okay. Oh yeah, I know that.
And then a second book called No More Prisons.
Yeah.
So I was in the book No More Prisons. My friends and I were playing basketball in the alley behind our apartment, and he interviewed us. We're in that book, but I wrote back to him, and actually when I was in college, brought him to school. So he was one, but the first two like rappers that said yes was Wordsworth. I don't know if you guys are familiar with him.
I remember Wordsworth.
And Rocka from Dilated Peoples.
Okay.
Those were the first two, and I think I had to publish them on Hip Hop Congress was a thing I was doing. Well, it was a nationwide thing, but we had a chapter at school, and then through that, someone found me at school. When I went to Indiana University, and someone found me on campus and was like, I'm starting a website. Mm-hmm. It was called soundslam.com, and through just me doing stuff on campus, he said, do you want to run this site? And I can't pay you, but you'll do all the interviews and get the music, and I'm just like
kid in the candy shop.
Whatever.
Like,
sounds good. Sounds good. And then
interview everybody.
The first interviews for the site the same day was Saigon. Where he just came out. I knew nothing about him.
Right.
And Royce the 5'9", like same day, just back.
And the crazy thing about that, like as a journalist, like you would have to, because there was no Google back then, right?
Early day. I mean,
early. It's
so
not like it is now. There was Google, but it's not like it is.
Right.
Now.
So like to prepare for those interviews, it was just like, damn, I gotta get all these magazines and just like kind of read up.
It was more. I really think it was like Yahoo. You could search.
Yeah, right? Yahoo was more of a search engine back then.
Yeah, Yahoo.
Yeah. Well, Wikipedia wasn't around back then. I don't think. No, right?
It got some mixed stages. He had a CD. They were sending my parents' apartment is full of just real CDs, and press advances. They would put your name on it.
Right, because they would send like press kits.
Yeah, press kits. I had a lot of press kits. But when the piracy really was kicking off, the CDs themselves, like I have a De La Soul, I think it's the Grind Date copy, and every 90 seconds the voice says, "This is promo for Alexander Fruchter," and because they want to know who's leaking. If it leaked, they would have your name on the CD. So I wonder how long it took them to like record everybody's name and put it on their CD. I have several like that with my just actual name in the thing. I'm like, I can't even share this. Can't put it on a mixtape. Can't do anything.
That's crazy. Yeah, the lengths that record labels and companies went to back then to try to like get ahead of the piracy era, which was never gonna happen.
Never.
Like,
yeah.
But it was kind of interesting to see, like, kind of like watch the downfall of hip hop. Well, not of hip hop, but of the label and the way it was done. The business was done.
Yep.
In like real time.
Yep.
And they were trying to like sue people. They were downloading things like like it was some random grandma that got sued.
Yep.
Some kid was using her computer, like her grandson was using her computer, and they ended up trying to sue her. Like it was just it was pretty fucking ridiculous.
It was crazy back then. Like this is just the music business in the world. Just the fact of how much money the music business used to put into an artist.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? To promote it. They'll send a whole street team out, every city, every major city, like, hey, we got $1,000 for you to post up these pictures, these posters, pass out these CDs, hit these record shops. And now to see it like a desert. Like record labels damn near hardly ever exist almost. Like it's just you have to find that perfect niche to be able to make money. And also to sign artists, because you got to figure out like how you make money and how they make money, and not feel slighted to the point like I'm taking all your points.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
so a perfect segue.
Yeah.
Because you run a label.
Right
now.
Yep.
Which Closed Sessions.
Yep.
Which has been, you guys have been in operation for 15 years right
Yep.
now. You just had like the anniversary.
Yep.
Back in December, was it?
The end of October.
End of October. Sorry, excuse me.
Yeah.
But yeah, so like the business has obviously changed in the
yeah.
past 15 years.
Oh yeah.
So like day to day, like what do you do and how are you keeping it going? And what is like your, as a label owner, like what's your day-to-day operation in terms of like what you do to make it successful?
Yeah, I mean that's a great question. Right now, currently, the day-to-day is somewhat, so I look at like there's two things. One, what can I personally do to like make something happen?
Okay.
So if I'm doing that, a lot of that is tied to myself, or trying to, like, the legend conversation stuff. I do a lot of brand things, and a lot of that is leveraging the past 15 years. Like, I have a lot of relationships, so there's closed sessions as just a brand. There's opportunities coming in all the time. Then the other part of it, of putting out music, a lot of it is dependent on artists. And so it's like, ideally there's one artist in a release period,
okay,
and that would be queuing up their music, trying to make people care about it, trying to speak with our distribution partners, lining up things we can do, working with a publicist, working with a radio campaign, and that's a lot of like telling the story, marketing.
Yeah.
And then ideally, when that's happening, there's another artist that's in a period of making their music, and then that would be, assisting however I can. At one point in my career in life, that was living at the studio and doing a lot of input and like just being there all the time. Now it's more so like a coach of just back a little bit and stepping in when I can. We're finishing an album right now, and we're in that creative process. But it doesn't always work like that. Last year I had no releases because artists, man, they're people, things happen, the world is a crazy place.
Yeah.
We had no releases, and then once like the fall hit, October, November, December, every artist on the label was like, I got something new, let's put this out. And then you're like in a overdrive. But day to day, I'm also different than, I'd say, a major label, or depending on the goals. My goals have changed with closed sessions a lot. The pressure I've felt has changed a lot. And at one point, it was like, this is going to be Def Jam. We're going to be Capitol. We took a huge advance. We signed a great deal. We put out big for us, big songs. And it was like every day we're on it, had office, had staff that we were paying salaries to. And because that's like, oh, this is how you run a label. But that didn't necessarily make me any happier. It didn't fulfill all the stuff, fill what I was trying to do. And so that changed. Pandemic had a lot to do with that. But now my goal with closed sessions is put out music, find the niche fan base that wants it, and just catering more to that versus trying to be everything to everyone. There's not a way that I could necessarily, like, I'm not interested in finding, for better or worse, business-wise, probably a bad way to look at it, but I'm not necessarily interested in trying to find an artist that can have a viral TikTok. I would love it if that happened, but it's like
longevity.
I'm not like gonna be able to do that. I'm not in a position even where back when I started, I lived by myself, had no kids, no wife, no responsibilities. I was getting paid to write about music for Ruby Hornet, and just like every day, like it was like a dream world. And man, like, let's go 24/7. I can't really do it like that anymore, and nor is like that gonna be fulfilling. So now I'm really want to and focus on this niche audience that buys Bandcamp, buys vinyl. I get to work with artists that I love. The legend conversation is awesome. I've been able to like work with, hang out with, talk to, become, get to know, some of my heroes, and that is extremely fulfilling. So that's where I'm on at this point in my career of running a label. It's like, keep this thing going, do some cool shit, put out some music, And
the thing about it, like, you don't want, like you just said, like those TikTok stars, like, you know, we watch artists come and go, right? We've watched, just say for instance, I was just listening to a podcast earlier today, and they was talking about Scarlett.
Okay, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like how she was really popping with the record. Yeah. And now they at a standstill, like, okay, that record did good, but we don't have a second record to pop off. Now we're trying to change. Now they're trying to like sexualize her a little bit, make her a little bit more girly. Same thing with what was the little short girl? God, what was her name?
You know what?
She came out. She was like real energetic. Damn, I forgot her damn name. She was a little rapper.
You gotta be a little more specific there.
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
Yeah.
But no, she just never really came out of that slump.
Okay, not Ice Spice because she's pretty big.
No.
Yeah, she's still pretty big. But
I mean, there's so many songs that come out every day. And
Lola Brooke.
Lola Brooke.
Lola Brooke.
I mean, she's been around a long time.
Yeah, she's still around.
Yeah.
I think so. I'm the wrong person to ask about that stuff.
But I mean, and just like I was talking to someone about this the other day, but you know, I think when I started the whole, like I said, we wanted to be a Def Jam. We wanted to be like someone that I talk to a lot, or you know, from afar and up close has given me advice. Or I watched career even before I got to know him. Is this dude Dante Ross, legendary A&R. Busta Rhymes, De La Soul, Queen Latifah. He put out a book a year or two ago called Son of the City. Great book.
Okay.
We're in New York, and I was at his office. This was when he was at Atlantic Records, and he's just like, man, I love what you guys are doing. I would bring you to Atlantic and do this here, but just be honest with you, like my desk isn't gonna even exist in 5 years. And
he knew.
He was like, it's like, yeah, like exactly, like it's just totally changed. There's the young people that are looking up to like, I want to do that. I want to find the next De La Soul or whatever. I just think the music industry doesn't like work like that anymore.
Yeah.
You know, when we were kids, Michael Jackson would premiere his music videos after The Simpsons. I don't know if you ever remember.
Yeah, on Fox.
It would come on right after The Simpsons.
It was a big thing.
It was a big thing.
I remember Black and White was probably the biggest one.
They're big.
Yeah.
Remember the Time came on after one of them?
Remember the Time was my favorite. I think it came after the Cosby Show or something.
One of those shows.
No, it was on Fox. It was on Fox.
I'm pretty sure it was after The Simpsons.
After The Simpsons, you're right.
So it's after The Simpsons. They're like, stay tuned, a new Michael Jackson video. So The Simpsons end, and then the Michael Jackson video plays, and then that end, and then boom, my phone is ringing, or this is probably happening around the country. Like, damn, did you see The Simpsons? And then the Michael Jackson.
Right.
You have the whole world seeing it,
Right.
and now it's like there's 100 Remember the Time videos happening in their little niches.
Right.
There's artists that my students will bring up that have millions of plays I'd never heard of, and like it's like there's not going to be, unless you really really reach far, like that collective consciousness, because it's so spread out. I'm kind of like randomly all over the place, but
no, you're good.
No, you're good. No,
but like with music, like I said, like with artists nowadays, it's hard. Like you got to find a niche. You have your Gazeldas, you know what I'm saying? You have your Joey Badasses, but all these people, like I always tell like new artists that I talk to, like, dude, all these people been out for a long time.
Right.
Yeah.
Like they just started to get that buzz and get the notoriety that they deserve because they've been in it so long, but they found a niche. Like even with Currency, he's not really, I think he had like that one major push with Future, Music in a Bottle, or Genie in a Bottle, something like that.
Right.
And he was like, yeah, this is like a major label thing. Da, 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 da.
He had Weekend at Bernie's, I think, or Pilot Talk. One of them was on it.
But I'm just talking about the recent one, like the one that passed 3-4 years.
Got it.
And then he was doing all like these. He was doing on press man. He was like on Breakfast Club. He was on Hot 97. I'm like, oh shit. And I was like, oh, Currency for the kick it. But then he was like, I remember, I never forget in one interview, he was like, yo, like I am really cool with just being where I'm at.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I tour a lot. I do 200 shows a year. I get X amount of dollars per show.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
And he makes so much money from merch.
and I make merch, and he like, you know, because I think Ebro asked him like, you know, him and Wiz Khalifa came out at the same time, and Wiz Khalifa is there.
Right.
And he was like, yeah, but he like Wiz Khalifa can't go to the mall with his kids without security.
Right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I can still go out to eat, go to a movie, hang out with my kids, and still make a decent bag, a real good bag at that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So he was like, you know, it's just like you said, you just got to find your niche. Yeah. In the industry.
I read in an interview you did recently, where you kind of talked about that, like the way that artists compete for attention has changed drastically, right? Yep. Like back in the day, like, you know, you had like the Box, you had MTV, you had Rap City, you had Yo MTV Raps, all that, right? You had specific platforms dedicated to music and the consumption of music, where now there's like IG and TikTok, and, you know, and Twitter, and all these platforms that are not necessarily designed for music, they're designed for everything, right? And but these same artists are competing for attention, on these platforms. So, being in the business as long as you have and seeing that kind of transformation, how do you feel like that's affected the artists and how they promote themselves? And do you feel like there are some people that have kind of hurt themselves by their social media presence? Because I can think of a couple. The first name that comes to mind is Talib Kweli.
Oh yeah, definitely him.
Yeah,
he's
I mean, he's not even allowed on social media now. You know, he kind of went down.
He's banned from everything.
Because it was crazy because me and my barber, we would talk about this all the time. All he did for a while was just like argue with people on the internet. It's just like, bro, you're a legend. Why are you doing this? Right? And now it's to the point where now I don't even know what he's doing now. He doesn't really have platforms to even promote his music really. So like, just give me your thoughts on that. What do you how do you feel how it's changed?
That is something I said and fully believe that music is and artists are rewarded now on those platforms. Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Twitter, social media platforms are built to reward attention, whereas previously when you had more centralized music platforms, you're being rewarded on your music. Your music is good. I think that social media has done a few things. One, artists are forced to, but I'm not trying to, like, if this is what the younger consumers want, that's great. But artists are forced to always be present, forced to think about their music as a bigger thing than just the music, and for some of them that's really great. That's what they want to do. I think a lot of artists don't necessarily want to also have to do all the other social media stuff, and then also it's
the branding
like,
stuff.
Yeah, and just like, you know, this was something I just put up a clip with Clark Kent, and he was just talking about like the 8 seconds and artists, your song being taken down and slimmed down into like this, just like these little
2 minutes,
these little bites,
20 seconds.
Bites,
for the TikToks.
So it's hard. And then I mean, outside of that, to your point of like artists being in trouble or like kind of tarnishing the image, I think some of the reasons that I wanted to work in music was because when I was younger too, my parents bought me a subscription to Rolling Stone, and I just to get me to read, read something. So I'm reading these articles as a kid, and it just felt larger than life. That was all you got to see of the artist. Or like if you saw someone on MTV doing an interview, that's all it was. Or I remember like tuning in from the the Chris Rock show to these various shows where they had real good, like very good artists doing the musical guests.
Yeah, the Chappelle show.
Yeah, Chappelle show. Yeah. I like literally taping them because this is just not available all the time.
Right.
And it was just, again, it's just like made it to me like special, man. It's like, I don't, you know, I probably, you think you want to know everything. Maybe I wouldn't like some of these artists the same if I really knew how they felt about various stuff or saw them all the time. It's just kind of like the mystique is kind of gone. And
it's like a record label nowadays. They be like, hey, you got to post. But the thing about it, you have
and the relationship too.
Yeah, you do have some major artists that don't really post on that don't really post on the gram at all.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
Kendrick, one of the biggest. You hardly ever hear Kendrick speak about anything.
Yeah,
Kendrick doesn't do any interviews really. You don't see him on press runs.
You don't see Rihanna.
Yeah,
You don't see Beyonce doing crazy shit on the internet.
They drop their music.
Yeah, I mean, but we'll see. These artists you're mentioning too, Rihanna, she became very big, like 20 years ago now.
Right, yeah.
Before it flipped. Kendrick came up in the blog era, and at one point was very accessible, and he just was so good. Like when you're so good, you can set the rules. I was working with an artist, and we were early on, and we were doing press, and like someone asked like, who do you want to be? And at first he didn't have an answer, and then later we're in a cab. We're in New York, and we're in a cab. He goes, I think I figured out that answer to that question. I'm like, oh, okay, what is it? He's like, I want to be like Frank Ocean and just disappear and then put out music. And I'm just thinking like, oh fuck, like,
It's over. It's over. He's not gonna do what he interviews no more.
Yeah, we're fucked. We're fucked here. We're fucked. I called, but like, yeah, we're gonna go home because like at that. But that's a great goal. But you can't just step in and be these people. But the other piece of it, I think is key. Even going to the blog era where the music itself was still free, there was more choice, meaning consciously you're hitting a download button. You're getting something permission to come onto your computer.
Right.
Yeah.
Before that, you're buying something at a store. You're holding it in your hand. And with CD players, you can listen to one thing at a time.
Right.
Yeah.
And then even just
put on repeat. Like, I like this song. Let me put this on repeat real quick.
With records, you listen one at a time. To change the record is a physical activity. You gotta open the thing, put one record back in the case, or put the CD back in the case, open another case, put that in. So there's just levels of consciousness. Now we're listening, and there's not as much consciousness of changing things. There's no physical activity. Like sometimes, honestly, I would be listening to a CD and I probably didn't want to listen to it anymore, but it's like, oh fuck, I gotta get up and like get the next one. I'll just play like whatever's in here, I'll just play again.
Right.
But all the things are at our fingertips, or you're hitting play on a playlist and I've looked up and been listening to like 20 songs I don't really even know. So I just think it's changed the relationship with the music from full more like a purposeful interaction and conscious. I mean, Spotify and all these things have passive versus active listeners,
right?
And a lot of the listening is like a passive listening experience.
But look at like the sense of like Mark Hamill, right?
Yeah,
he doesn't show his face.
Right.
He doesn't do interviews too often. He does interviews, he's covering his face. Yeah. Like
but
the mystique of him.
But he also has he has his audience.
Yeah.
But he's not somebody that's like big.
Yeah, no, but see, that's what I'm saying.
Relatively speaking.
But like that's when it goes into the argument, like when people are, oh man, hip hop is dead. I'm like, no, hip hop ain't dead. You just not searching the right engines, because there's music that you can definitely vibe to that is current, but still has that feel of '90s or early 2000s. You know what I'm saying? Like Joey Badass was one of those artists for me. Like I've been following that career. Yeah. And then same thing with Freddie Gibbs. And then going to Rock Marciano, and then going into the Conways and the Bennies, and then hearing these music, and then when you start hearing them, they putting you on Danny Brown, and you know what I'm saying? Like it's so different. But like I said, like you really have to search for music nowadays to figure out what, because the algorithms now, man. Yeah. Like the past week, I've literally been since they got rid of TikTok for like a day. Right. That kind of hurt my feelings.
Fake ass band.
Fake ass band. But then they got rid of CapCut. And CapCut was what I used to do all my videos. So now I'm downloading all these other shits, and I'm like, I don't like the way this shit operates. Yeah. It doesn't have a clear, none of this shit makes sense to me. So I'm like, fuck. And then they want you to pay $10. I'm like, look, CapCut already taking $14 a month. You know what I'm saying? When they come back. But like, just to say, like, like you said, everything's at the fingertips now. Like everything, I think Gary Vee said the most, your career is on your phone. Right. You can create a website. You can do all type of shit where a major label, they get to you, and they do have the backing. You know what I'm saying? They do have the money and the tools to get you into other markets. But I just really think like, I think artists nowadays miss the grind of going and actually doing these small ass shows with nobody there. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I think it was J. Cole talking about it. No, it was Big Sean talking about it. And he was like, bro, it was a time where it was me, J. Cole, and Wale, and we did a college tour. Mm-hmm. And we did like 20 colleges. Mm-hmm. Most of the colleges was like maybe 1,000 people. But he like, nigga, we barely had enough for like Burger King at the end of the night. Right. But he like, this is the grind that it took for us to get to this level. Right. And artists nowadays, they don't have that grind. Right. Like that. They look at it like, oh, I got 2 songs. I should be popping. Right. Yeah. Nah, man.
Well, yeah. I mean, it just, again, I think it's just that evolution of the technology. We're able to, from a consumer to like watching it. So you have a different idea. Like I had no idea how really records were made. The studio, when we started Closed Sessions, like there was no Instagram or live. It's just like, that's why it was somewhat impactful, because we're in a space that you were not able to really be in a lot. Right. And now we're able to see the separation between artist and fan continues to get smaller. And then you can put out, I get emails from someone that'll send me a song to sign to Closed Sessions, and it's like, this is the first song I ever made, and then they're sending it to me and like putting it out and it's up. And I just think some of the boundaries or barriers to making that happen have gone away, where 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, you couldn't just put out your very first thing. And so like the idea of like being in your bedroom, I remember DJing, getting turntables, I'd say for like the first 6 months, 8 months, just me in my bedroom. Maybe I DJ for other people if my friends come over and we're fucking around. But it wasn't like, I got turntables, I got some records, let's do a party tomorrow. It's just like, let me figure this out first. And then I didn't even want to do a party. My friend comes in my apartment. This is when I was at Indiana. He just comes in. He's like, I got you a gig, pack all your shit up. We're going. So I couldn't, since they know, like he pushed me to do a party. Mm-hmm. And I had to pack up my whole bed. Like I'll bring all my turntables and a mixer and speakers. And now, and again, not a bad thing, but going to DJ a party is like either a big, just one controller piece. Some people do it on their phone and plug in. So again, like the purposefulness, the thoughtfulness doesn't necessarily have to be there. It's a lot different when, if you accept a gig, you're carrying a crate of records that's very heavy. You're carrying 2 turntables. It's like, there's no way to just willy-nilly, I'll go do this thing.
But pass also, me like you said, like, you took that time, even though your friend pushed you. Right. You still took that time to learn how to blend records, play records, and then like,
and just build a collection. You had to like
build a collection.
Find the record. You had to
back then you had to go crate digging.
You had to find those records. My thing is like, coming from like a music family and watching DJs DJ, I can tell the new DJs that just started to the DJs that's been in it for a while. Right. You know what I'm saying? And I think we talked about it plenty of times on the pod with numerous guests, like how some newer DJs, they want to go all the way in and turn up, and the promoter like, you're never getting hired again. Yeah. Because you just played all the records the main guy was supposed to play.
Well, that's one of the things I hate the most, when the opener at like 8 p.m. is just playing just loud, and it's just like, dude, there's 4 people here and these songs are going to come on like 8 more times. So that's one. But I think too, if you look at again, with the technology, so many DJs are DJing with their eyes, because they are watching the waves. You can hit a button, it will match this up. So they're just like, oh, if these 2 sound bars are lined up, this is a good match. And if that's how you learn to DJ, man, that's what it is. That's the current time. You're DJing with a computer. The software shows you the sound waves. You can match them up. I feel very lucky that I learned how to DJ where you learned how to DJ with your ears. Counted the BPMs. I would write all the if you go to my record collection, you'll see all my records have the BPMs on the cover, and you like a good blend is like you gotta hear it. There's no
you gotta hear it.
You're DJing with your ears,
gotta hear
not your eyes.
Yeah, you gotta hear it. I just seen a couple of DJs on IG, and they do these little 1 minute 30-second videos, but their blends be so dope. Mm-hmm. Like I listened to a dude. He did a Sade record, blended into a Snow Allegra, and then blended into a Maxwell, and I was just blown the fuck away because you really have to have the talent for that. You have to have an ear to know what is going to play. Yeah. I wanted to ask you, like with the closed sessions, what you worked with Currency. What are some of the other artists you worked with?
So I mean, to go like.
Well, like far as the music wise, because you did
wise? Or like, I'll just give. Let's see, just checking some. So we've done Currency, the bigger artists, Action Bronson, a bunch of Action Bronson stuff. Right. We did his first show. We've worked with Wyclef, Freddie Gibbs a lot, DJ Babu from Dilated Peoples. Rock, you mentioned Rock Marciano. Done a few things with him, and then. Open Mike Eagle. I'm thinking of like some of the big Raekwon from Wu-Tang Clan.
I remember you talked about. I read it that he gave you a pretty good compliment. He kind of put a battery in your back some years ago. Yeah, when Raekwon told you like you were one of the cool guys coming up. Yeah, and he wanted to connect with. Yeah, he said
he's like, man, he said like in his voice, like we're followers of what you do. You some cool cats coming up. Like, oh shit, okay.
Yeah,
cool.
To hear that,
become a friend of mine.
Right, to hear that from somebody like Raekwon, who was like. So I know we.
Bun B. Go ahead.
Now, as a quick sidebar, because I know you talked about like the kind of like the things like the Beastie Boys. Yeah. That kind of made you like really like fall in love and like started your transition into really loving hip hop. Yeah. And that for me was like I was a Wu-Tang fan. Yeah. But when the Purple Tape came out, it completely changed like the trajectory of my life and what I listened to as music. Mm-hmm. So like to hear that from somebody like Raekwon, like that had to have been like a pretty cool experience.
I mean, that was also the very beginning of. So with Closed Sessions, I mean, it didn't. I was running the blog and DJing, and then Closed Sessions started because I had the blog, and then I was doing the mixtapes, and I met Michael Kolar, who ran Soundscape Studios, right, and. I was going there, and I did a mixtape with GLC, one of my favorite mixtapes still, and he mastered it for me because the files all sound different volumes, so I had to like he just master all my blend, make sure that the blends sound right, just master it, not doctoring what I do. So I just want people to be clear. I did all the things. He just made all the tracks.
I mean that's what a good engineer does.
Same volume. Yeah, that's what he did.
A mastering engineer. Levels.
But he didn't. None of the mixes were done like via computer. He didn't move my shit around. So just saying. But so anyway, we're done, and he goes. I was like, yo, how much do I owe you? He's like, you could pay me, but you're here all the time. I see Ruby Hornet all the time. How about this? You could use my studio at any time you want, but this is the studio, and like we gave him some ad space on Ruby Hornet, but he was smart in that he saw to differentiate himself as a studio that if like I'm there all the time with my little flip cam or we're recording and then artists are coming into Chicago to do my party and I got to take him to a studio and I'm at his studio, he can like add, he is the studio now and like synonymous in the scene of like, that's like where I want to record. If I see Knowledge or Currency or Bun B on that couch in the wall with that mic, I want to be on that
So
mic.
He's like, don't worry about it. I'm not going to charge you because I'm going to make my money on the back end.
Right.
Well,
straight up.
So you guys kind of started doing like kind of behind the scenes documentaries of the recording processes, right?
So then it became my initial goal was, no joke, I wanted to be like a DJ Drama or Tony Touch or like the DJs that would have albums.
Like a DJ Honda,
DJ
not
Babu.
like a DJ Khaled.
DJ Khaled in the sense of like he has albums,
right?
So
I can't stand Khaled.
Yeah, well, this was also a long time ago. He wasn't the same. It was DJ Khaled with Terror Squad back then.
That was different. That was a very different Khaled.
That was a very different Khaled. Like the Khaled now, I'd be like, damn, fam, like Jesus.
Yeah, but it's like, okay, can I transitioned into making my own album. So the first closed session was going to be just songs I put together and put out the album with hopes that someone would see this and then I could get like, go up and up and I could, sign a record deal, be a DJ, travel the world and put out albums. When this was all going on this micro scale, I have a popular website, I have residencies, and I have a studio now, and that's where it goes back to Jabari knowledge from Kids in the Hall, where we're doing music. We did a song called Swagger Like Shy when Swagger Like Us came out, and it was
I think I remember that.
It was Knowledge, GLC, Really Doe, Mickey Halstead, and Marvo, if you guys know Marvo.
I remember Marvo.
And Bump J, and he just came home from jail. This was like a couple days
Bump
after,
J, that was
or maybe he was gone and then he came. I don't want to get into before he robbed the bank, but or allegedly.
Allegedly.
I don't want to get into any trouble.
Yeah, 'cause he outside now. I don't want no trouble. Hey man, you said I did this on your podcast.
I don't know nothing. I ain't seen that.
Sorry, nothing. He was awesome, great guy.
What? Ray Charles. I don't know nothing.
But we did that, and we're just Then I just started making these songs, and Knowledge was like, "Yo, you should do this. Like, bring other artists to come and do your party, and take them to the studio." And he was like, "My dude Currency just got out of his deal with Cash Money, and was starting over. And man, we were at my apartment, and he just stepped outside and just like called him right there. I remember standing outside my apartment, and he just puts me on the phone with Currency, and he's just, I'll come when. And I don't even know, we didn't pay. It was just like, man, we're all young, just like, let's do some shit.
Yeah.
Came to Chicago, we did a show. Where
was the show at?
The show was at the Debonair Social Club. I don't know if that's still open. I think it's something else now.
Yeah, something else now. I remember the Debonair. I never went there, I don't think. I never went there.
The bill was Hollywood Hope, Mike Terror, Mike Posner, and Currency.
I think I remember that. I think I remember seeing a flyer for that show.
And then the next day we took him to the studio, did a song called Rapper Weed. We filmed it and just called it a closed session and put it out. And then another group named Tanya Morgan saw that, and they were like, yo, we want to come. And we did a song with them. And then that just became the model of like, bring an artist, we'll do a show with them and film what it's like to be in the studio. And we just kept getting it better and evolving. So then it became, instead of like with Currency, I just cringe even watching that video because it's just us in the studio. There's nothing exciting about it. But then it became, okay, let's bring an artist to Chicago and we will take them around and show them around. So now it's like we take Sci-Hi the Prince to Leaders, or we take Action Bronson. He wanted to go to Blackbird. That's why our song is called Blackbird. That was a restaurant at the time he really wanted to go to. He's a foodie.
Right, yeah.
Or we take like whoever it is, and it's not just about like, the goal of those closed sessions wasn't just like, let's make a song. It's like, let's take a snapshot of who they are at this moment and why they might make that song right there. So Raekwon, going back to Raekwon, that was when we first started this thing. We were just like, I remember another guy who started Ruby Hornet and found me. His name's Omar. He's like, what would make you like think this is serious, or who's like a goal? It's like, we just like, man, if Raekwon wanted to do this, that would, again, being naive, being young, it's just like, this will put us on, you know.
Yeah.
But it's just like, this will make us feel like this is serious, and boasting like, no one will be able to fuck with me. No one will say like, you're whack. Yeah. Like I
had Currency, I got Raekwon. Yeah. I got all these motherfuckers coming in doing their thing.
So like, he was coming to Chicago with Sneaker Pimps, and we had a good relationship. We did an interview at our office like a year or a few months before that, and this is on the internet too. And I was like, all right, I want to end. All right, hey, last question. And then he's like, oh man, no, come on, man. This is not the last question. Like, I'm digging your energy.
Who was this?
This was Ray. He was at our office. This is on it's like something minutes with Raekwon on Vimeo or YouTube. You could find it. And he's just like, no, man, come on. It's not the last question. I'm digging your energy right now. I'm digging your energy. This motherfucker's like the young Howard Cosell. And so from there, we kept in touch. And so I was coming in, man, just working that out. It was a lot of drama. Sneaker Pimps was going to shut. It was just a lot of back and forth. But when we got him there and we were riding around in the car, and yeah, man, he's like, you know, we wanted to make this special. You're some cool cats coming up. He said, I know you guys love the essence of hip hop. We want to come and fuck with you. And every time that I hang out with or see him, you know, he always inspires me again, gives me some kind of great advice. You know, I don't have, I think I have a lot of contacts in the industry and like a lot of professional friends, and like you see them out there, they dap you up or like blah blah. But like this like guy, I've been to his house. Like this is a friend of mine now.
Okay.
And that that's
those
like
relationships
the
are like
real thing.
timeless.
Yeah, that's like where if all the things like 15 years, you know, I really want to get Closed Sessions is 15 years, and it's just like I don't know if it's I don't know, man. Once that concert was over, that 15-year concert was over, it just felt like a huge weight was off me of just that whole idea. Like, I just got to keep the pedal to the metal. Like, I just got to, it's just like, okay, cool. I did it. I did that show. It's like, here you go, everybody. It was more just like, here you go. I did it. And now it's like, man, Closed Sessions, it's like, it's great. It's cool. But like those experiences at the end of the day, that's what it's really
about.
I'm gonna be able to have, because you know you're not gonna.
The simple fact of you like growing up listening to Can It All Be So Simple, right, in your bedroom, and or listening to the Purple Tape, and then years down the line you're actually with this guy, and he's telling you like, no, I like your energy. Let's keep going. Yeah. Like that has to be some type of moment, like. Raekwon just told me to. So Raekwon, let me ask you about this.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, just like, you know, Muggs, DJ Muggs, Cypress Hill. Like, I loved Cypress Hill so much. I wanted to be in Cypress Hill. You know?
You was in a video like, jump around.
No, that's House of Pain.
That's House of Pain.
He did do that song too.
He did that. DJ Muggs did do that.
He did do that, but definitely, I did not want to be. Just to be clear, everyone watching did not ever want to be in House of Pain. They were good. No disrespect.
Yeah, no, Cypress Hill. Cypress Hill was Be Real.
Insane
in the Brain. But, I mean, they have a large catalog.
Super large catalog.
But you know, so it's just a trip. Like that's another dude. Like. Call like it's just kind of like a trip. I mean, yeah.
So speaking of those experiences, you talked about the one you did with Alchemist.
Yeah,
it's kind of like a seminal moment.
Yeah. So
can you talk about that and why was doing the Alchemist so special for you?
Hey, Alchemist, look. Alchemist the past 2 years, bro. Even before that, but the past 2 years.
Yeah.
It's just he's been on the run. I
mean, so funny thing about I found an old iPhone of mine that I think I got rid of maybe like 2011 in the earlier days of Closed Sessions, and I opened it up, got it charged and opened it, and there was a text message chain with me and Alchemist going from 2011 where I texted him, "Yo, I got your number from DJ Babu. He told me to hit you up to do a closed session," and then Alchemist wrote back like, "Okay, cool, I'm with it," and then I said, "Okay, bet I'll follow up with you next week or something," and then I just never did. And I like had no recollection. I'm like, fuck, what did I do? But that's a side topic. What the point of like why that was a special thing was Alchemist, man, he not directly, but he revitalized a part of my career that I thought was over, that I was feeling like very jaded and depressed about. I quit Ruby Hornet to go fully into Closed Sessions, and at that time I was Alex at Ruby Hornet, and I had a lot of emails every day, a lot of VIP invites. I
think I've emailed you a million times about King Louie and Katie got pants.
I'm sure. I was I was feeling myself at that time. I'm also very young. A lot of it is naiveness. But there was a thought of like, okay, I'm very well liked at Ruby Hornet. There's not really anyone that wouldn't at least respond to what I'm saying. Mm-hmm. And there's a thought like, okay, all these people are going to still now just support me in Closed Sessions, and it's going to be a breeze. And different things happened, didn't necessarily work out fully that way, but had a lot of success. But I missed writing. Like I just missed the writing, and also was just burned out and was like, man, what do I even do? Like who like what is this? And I got a random call from a friend of mine, and he was like, LL Cool J is going to. He just won some lawsuit and got Rock the Bells. There was a Rock the Bells festival.
Yeah.
That was not connected to LL Cool J.
I remember that
at all.
Yeah,
right.
I went to the first one.
Oh,
actually. Yeah.
It was at the
Northerly Island,
yeah.
And Nas. Quick sidebar, because that's a core memory for me, because Nas and Wu-Tang were there.
Yep.
And that was the first time they had ever performed verbal intercourse on stage together. And it was just like, it was one of the greatest moments of my life.
Do you remember, or I feel like maybe I imagined this, but I feel like during that set, someone in the crowd said like, fuck ODB, and they
ODB.
jumped off stage and started fighting, right?
So
or did I imagine that?
So no, you did not imagine that, because I was right next to the dude that did it.
Okay.
Right? So the dude that did it, he was like an asshole. He was like fucking with people. Like, we kind of had to like not rough him up, but he was like fucking with people. They were like, he was fucking with like some real nerdy kids. So some people that, you're not gonna pick on me.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it was me and Mike. And fucking Binky was there too. Shout out to Binky. But we were all around in the same area, and we remember like, bro, like, what is you on? Like, leave these people alone. You know what I'm saying? And then he went, him and his girl was just like embarrassed.
Yeah.
So he went closer to the front of the stage.
Yeah.
And then he kept, but we were still close to him.
Yeah.
And he kept shouting, "Fuck Wu-Tang,
Yeah.
where's Old Dirty?" And at this point,
Yeah.
Old Dirty was dead.
Yeah, he was dead.
Right. Method Man stops the music.
That's what okay.
And was like, "What the fuck did you just say?"
It's verified. Yep.
And then he said, "You just said fuck Wu-Tang,
It's-
where's Old Dirty?" As soon as he said that, Street Life
Okay.
jumped off the stage and hit him in the head with the fucking microphone.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I'm saying? So then
Melee.
right, and not long, of course, the security comes, they get Street Life, they bring him back up on stage or whatever, and Buddy ends up, I'll never forget, he walked past me like crying, and this girl was with him, and she was so embarrassed.
Oh yeah.
But right after that, they did Wu-Tang Clan Ain't Nothing to Fuck With.
Yeah.
It was one of the most legendary moments. That's what that whole.
Yeah.
I've talked about that before, and not to get too far.
Yeah,
off
yeah,
track,
for sure.
But
We'll
I've
bring it
talked
back.
about that before, because that was like one of the moments like when you really remember. Like, I'll never forget. I remember the night the weather was perfect. It was a full moon.
Yeah.
And that was the last time I saw Fumi.
Okay.
That was the last time I saw Fumi alive.
Rest in peace, Fumi.
Rest in peace, Fumi.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it was just so many things happened that night, but one of those things being Wu-Tang, Raekwon, Ghostface, and Nas performing verbal intercourse on stage together for the first time ever.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Good. That's just good to know that I thought like maybe I imagined.
You did not imagine that.
But he called me. He's like, we got LL Cool J just got Rock the Bells. We're starting a website. Don't tell anyone. But pitch me some articles. I've always been a fan of your writing. So I pitched him an article that was about the Alchemist. This was 2020. So during COVID had just broken out. This was like April 2020. So it was like
still heavy in lockdown.
Full on lockdown.
Yeah.
I just pitched this article where like Alchemist has been like rebranded himself and is on a crazy tear at that time. And he's like, yeah, it got picked up. So I was like, all right, some way or another, I'm going to make this happen. And I hit up people I knew, like Dilate Peoples did interview, Dante Ross, forgot who else. Oh, Premier. When I talked to Premier, so I was like trying to reach out to Alchemist, and he was just sent like either not responding or he would just send me like one word answers. And then I think when I wrote him back, it's like, yo, I've talked to Premier now, and then he agreed to do this interview. I did this piece, and it was like debuted with Rock the Bells because they were just starting, so they needed like something big for their launch. Put it out, and then it just put me back out on the map. And then from there, Rock the Bells, I was able to do these bigger pieces. Like I did a Fat Joe piece, I did a Muggs piece, I did Juice, and someone else. But it just like gave me the love back. And then the Legend Conversation series, I did one with Ray. Same thing. I was just like burned out. I was like, I just need to refresh. I feel like I've been going to the same party forever, the same people. Right. And I did
It's just rebranding. Like you see one thing, you're like, okay, I'm gonna take this, keep it here, but then I'm gonna create this on the other lane because I'm tired of this.
I'm tired of this. And if you're working so hard and like the music industry is so unforgiving, I might as well be doing it with like people I like or want to work with.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the Alchemist one, it was just a full circle moment of like, okay, this is real. And then also it was like, as far as getting Legend Conversation off the ground, it was just kind of like showed that, man, he's just such a well-known, well-liked figure, and also embedded in a family tree. So you have him, and then I could go and like talk to Premier's people like, yo, we just had Alchemist, and they're like, oh, okay, I'm listening. Or like Muggs, we had Alchemist here. Oh, we had Premier. Oh, we had. So it just was kind of like, it's like a tent pole thing of like, yo, this is a real thing. You could get. I would joke around, but I started this at Soho House before the pandemic, but privately. And we had Raekwon was the first one. Then I had Bun B, and these are like people that I know very well. Could text and like, you know, someone could just say, "Oh, it's a fluke."
Hey, tell Bun B he need to open up a Trill Burger here in Chicago, fam. Yeah. I need the Trill Burgers here, fam.
I've heard nothing. Anytime anybody talks about Bun B, I've never heard anybody say anything bad. They just say he's the most humble, coolest, real person. Like, you know, he keeps his word. If he says he's gonna do it, he does it. Like, I've always heard, and like UGK was one of my favorite rap.
Yeah, he fucks with UGK.
Yeah. Pimp C specific. Pimp C is like, he's one of those people that I feel like doesn't get their just due in terms of how he influenced sound in the South specifically. But yeah, obviously through UGK. But I've never heard anything bad about Bun B. Anybody that's had any dealings with him personally.
Yeah, no, for sure.
That's pretty dope. Bun. Yeah, because you talked to. Let's get to the conversation of you and Dave doing these legendary conversations, right? Now I've watched the Just Blaze, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I watched the Alchemist because I just fuck with Alchemist. Yeah. But one of my favorites is Clark Kent, man.
Okay.
I like Clark Kent interview, everything he's done, just the relationships he had with people in Chicago. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Everybody was like, he was so humble. He was humble. Right. Very knowledgeable about music. Mm-hmm. And a very much of a sneakerhead. Like, how was it with that interview? Like, you know what I'm saying? And how was it after, you know, rest in peace, Clark Kent? Yeah. Like, how did that whole transition? Like, you meeting him, having a relationship with him, getting a chance to interview him, and then later on, you know.
Yeah, that interview specifically. So we did the Alchemist,
and I think that's like probably one of the last. Not to cut you off, but that's like probably one of the last interviews, almost, right?
I mean, I'm guessing it's one of the last like long form kind of like he talked for an hour or more. We did the Alchemist, and then that next one was Clark Kent. It was like our holiday party. We ended the year. And he and Dave were very tight, and that one I like. It was just me kind of watching Dave and Clark Kent have this, you know, they're like have their own camaraderie. Mm-hmm. To me, I viewed Clark Kent as like a living history of hip hop, and he's just so. I mean, he says it a lot in the interview, but he's just so passionate about music, so passionate about DJing that I just didn't want to like piss him off or like make him think like, yo, what? And that's like my takeaway from Clark is just he just loved all this shit so much. And it sucks that you know, RIP to Clark. I know he meant a lot to a lot of people, and that's gonna be, I think his absence is just probably going to be beginning to be felt.
Yeah. Because I mean, like we've had Sham on here from Leaders, and he talked about the first time he met Clark Kent and how they built their relationship off of that. And like, you know, like I said, like in this music game, how do you feel Chicago music is now? Like, you know, it's so many questions I have to ask for you because, like, you know, you do have a record label. You know what I'm saying? So I do want to know about. What do you look for in an artist when it comes to that? And also, what about Chicago music?
I'll answer this real quick because I know we've been talking a while. So I want to get to as many questions. That's the one thing too about Clark Kent. The one thing he did not want to end because he's just like, I don't want to leave the stage if anyone has a question unanswered. I'd be given a disservice. So I'll say that about Clark. With like, what do I look for in an artist? It's a very easy thing. I have a phone. I call it my phone test. If I get a call from you or a text, do I go, this motherfucker? And if that's the reaction, it's over.
Nice.
Not doing it. I call it my this motherfucker rule. If you call me, I'm sure you all have people where
absolutely.
they hit you just like, oh, fuck this motherfucker.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So at this point in my life, that's like one of the biggest things is like, are you going to be able to work in a way that I also want to work? I've been in situations working with artists that's like, they want a manager or someone that's going to like bully people and call all the time and like be that old school music industry dude. And it's like, I've been put in those kind of situations and that's not how I function the best. So that's the first thing. It's just like, do I want to like do that? Can I like trust you? It took me 20 years to build my reputation where it is. So I can't really, that's the most important thing to me right now. Reputation. So I'm not gonna risk. Is it worth it where you're not gonna do something that's gonna damage what I've built up? Because, you know, they say it takes a second to wreck it, but it takes time to build. That's a very true thing. And then the other parts though, it was like great music. Big thing for me, just, is it a message that I could feel good about putting out? And I'm very cognizant of my place and everything. So it's just like, I don't feel right. Certain topics, music might be great, but it's like, I can't put that out. Like someone should put that out, but it's not going to be.
It's just the energy. Cause like, like you grew up in it. We're all in our 40s.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We got teenagers, we got wives, we got girlfriends, kids. Like it comes to the point of like, hey, look, man, if you really serious about this, then I would sacrifice my time to make it happen. Exactly. But you have to show me that you're serious and that you're not looking for a quick payday. Exactly. Because this takes time to grow. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like you as a record label, you like, I ain't got $250,000 to spend on the artist. Like, you know what I'm saying? I got you $5,000.
No, for sure.
This is what we're gonna do, okay?
Yeah, I mean, it really does come down to like, does this artist understand what they're doing, who I am, what Closed Sessions is about? Does it fit? I went a few years without signing any new artists, and then signed did two deals last summer. One is with a newer artist named Rico Shy that
I like him.
Believe a lot in. Yeah,
I like him. He's dope.
He's dope.
Like it,
and he just has like, he has like a real purpose. We've talked for hours. I can talk to him for hours just about life. He sees things the same way, and we went to the same grammar school. Obviously, way years apart. But
what grammar school is that? If you mind me asking.
Ray.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh yeah, you here at Hyde Park.
You at Hyde Park. Of course you went to Ray.
Yeah. So that's where that goes. And then the other one is a partnership with Twilight Tone, legendary producer. So it's just like a bigger, I don't know, my desire of what do I look for in an artist now is like, is this going to be, it's like everybody has good music, but it's like, what are you doing? What's the reason?
So there's like two last things I want to cover with you. Yeah. You just mentioned one of them, which would be what you're doing now with Twilight Tone. Yeah. Can you elaborate on that a little bit? Like what you guys have going on right now?
Yeah, for sure. So the Twilight Tone is, to me, he should be on the same level and regarded like an Alchemist or a DJ Muggs or a Madlib.
Absolutely.
Or whoever, name. I mean, that's kind of like the top three to me. But
him and No ID fall in that same category with me. Yeah.
I mean, he should even be as noticed as No ID. For whatever reason, a lot of people just don't know him. Yeah. Like, so that was part of it. Is like, I want to get that going. But he wants to start. He started his own label called All of the Above.
Right.
I did deal with that with his label to distribute through Closed Sessions. So it's almost like I'm going to help him structure his label, get it off the ground, and also bring Twilight Tone. Like at the end of this, he needs to be up there. We put out one song so far called Sound Like with Vic Mensa. Okay. And then we have more on the way. But that's what I'm doing with Twilight Tone.
Nice. And just one last question, right?
Yep.
So we are kind of like in a unique position, you know, people that are in like early 40s, late 30s, mid, you know, where we've really watched hip hop grow up.
Yeah.
To this thing where, because when we were kids, hip hop was still kind of considered a fad, right?
Yeah.
That it wasn't gonna last, and now it's like there's nothing really bigger than hip hop. Like a lot of the, like, you know, you have obviously your just general pop records, but hip hop, you can make an argument, is the biggest genre of music that we have right now, right? So and to watch it grow up, and then just to also see the artists that we've grown up listening to have like great second acts, somebody like a Nas, right, and the people that have maintained that relevancy to the point where you can do closed sessions with those people, and watching them mature and do different things. Like Nas is into, like, he has mass appeal, he's into tech investing. We talked about Bun B with Trill Burgers, right? So watching that maturation of hip hop, like, how has that correlated with your own maturation through this, as you've been in this industry for a while yourself?
Man, that's a great question. I think that I'm trying to find the best way to answer it. I think a couple things jump to mind as you're talking. One, we were fortunate to grow up in the time we did because we weren't the first. There was things that were going on. So there was hip hop, and then there was I don't know. I mean, when I was in there, it was like, if you said you were a hip hop fan, you had to, like, okay, what are the 5 elements? Like, people would just like quiz you in a sense. Yeah, for real. And so that was awesome because it was like just new enough where so many things that were happening for the first time.
Absolutely.
And we were able to see and watch that and gain understanding. And then we're still in the analog world, and then it changes to digital. So we have, like, you know, we understand technology, but also remember, if you wanted to call someone, they had to be at their house at the exact time that you called them. And you would be like, yo, meet me here at this time.
And you just had to tell them they were going to be there. You couldn't call them unless you wanted to use a payphone. So all these artists that had been told their whole career, like 30 years old, you're done, or like you're too old. Like, these people still have a lot to say, and there's now an audience who is us that still want to hear from those artists. So I think, like, that's where it's awesome, and that's where I think why closed sessions in this new act. I mean, I've had like several acts of closed sessions. There's been few times where it's just like, this is the end of the road. We invested in some big artists. We got them so close to that precipice, and then for various reasons, man, it's like a very hard thing to, like, crack an artist for real. Yeah.
And we've had 3 at-bats where it was just like, okay, this is the one, and then various things happen. But so now the next act, with, like, going back to, like, why that Alchemist thing was so important, that's set up this whole new thing. And I've been able to establish myself with, like, at one point, closed sessions was known as, and through, like, the Ruby Hornet times, it was like, okay, this dude knows all the new young people, and that's who people would hit me for that. They'd go to Ruby Hornet for that. They'd come to the Digital Freshness Party Series for that. I'm going to see the newest dude. I'm going to, who is this dude? Action Bronson performing at Beauty Bar for $5, or Danny Brown, or whoever we would have. I did J. Cole's first show. It was part of Mac Miller's first show.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yellow Wolf.
Wait. You know what? I'm sorry to even. How was it? How is Mac Miller? Like, how was, like, you meeting him? Like, because Mac is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
And he just became one of my favorites in the past 2 years.
You know he's not.
Yeah.
Cool.
And he came out. They released a new album. Like,
I haven't heard that yet. Yeah, Balloonerism.
It's good.
Okay.
It's different. You know what I'm saying? But like, how was, like, your meeting with him? Like,
I met him when he did his show was at Reggie's, and he kind of went from like no one knew him to just, you know, blowing up. I mean, kids knew him, but he was, I think, 17, 18 years old, and just loved the music. And he had this big blue puffy coat, and then every time I saw him after that, he'd be like, man, I wore that blue puffy coat. But my interactions were limited with him. I probably met or saw him in person 4 or 5 times. Always very nice, always really cool. He loved, I think, to me, loved the music, was a huge fan. He got a trip out of like being able to text Pete Rock, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But like that was what Ruby Hornet was. It was all the new shit. And you know, I was at the age where like these are my peers making the new shit. My peers do not make the new shit anymore. Like you know, so it's just like Closed Sessions been able to morph from like, oh, this is the artist, this is the label with like the newest, hottest artist, and Rico Shy is definitely about to be in that category. But I think when people see Closed Sessions now, the people calling me are the artists I grew up listening to, looking up to, that are like, I want to do something in Chicago.
Yeah.
What can we do? Oh, I've seen that series. I've done this. And I also think there's an audience that would much rather go and have dinner in a intimate, controlled environment, have some drinks, listen to Bun B tell stories, versus instead of just go to a packed concert and stand up for several hours. And it's like, that's what I want to be a part of. I'd rather do that.
Absolutely.
I'd rather do that too. Because like you said, the age group, like I would rather sit, eat dinner, and listen to a dope conversation.
Yo, if I go to a concert in the standing room only, I have to like, I'll try to call and figure out, so when are they coming on? You know what I'm saying? Because I'm not trying to stand up for like 4 or 5 hours, bro. Like,
you know, my thing is with promoters nowadays.
Oh, facts.
The first thing I look at is like, I look at the promoter.
Yeah.
There's a couple of promoters that I know, okay, if you got Freeway or Joel Santana or whoever else, you're going to have about 15 opening acts.
This is no disrespect to Joel Santana. I would never go to a Joel Santana show unless I was throwing the show and it was like at Shuba's. Like, I'm just saying.
Right.
You know, the days of like just that whole thing of, like you said, like the 10 artists on a bill, like that just has no interest to me. It has no interest to me.
Yeah,
I'd be sitting there like, bro. I remember when I went to one show and I was just like, I'm not going to name the promoter. But I literally watched and about 5 horrible acts, and then like top 2 acts that was dope, which is like Jew Jilla, he performed, Vic Spencer, and Panera P.
Okay.
Those last 3, I'm like, okay, now the
Was
artist
this
is
at Bourbon on Division?
No, this was at Promontory.
Okay, Promontory. Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit, okay, these dope acts, cool.
Yeah.
He's finna come out. No, somebody else. I'm like, God damn.
I'll tell you a show that broke my heart. This was a long time ago now. I think he was still called Mos Def. Now his name's Yasin Bey. But he did a show at the Shrine. And I don't know if you remember this. He did a show at the, he did a show.
He was disappointed.
He did a show at the Shrine. Mos Def or Yasin Bey, man, for a minute, my favorite artist ever. I remember meeting Mos Def, and it's one of the few times where like he was like, "Hi, I'm Mos Def." I was just like, "Yes,
like yes, you are."
Could not talk. Was shocked to even be there.
Right.
And I go, and they have an opener. Never heard of this opener. Rapping over their vocals.
I hate that shit.
Next opener. Never heard of them. Rapping over their vocals. There were like 3 openers. Never heard of. And I was like thinking, how do you have Mos Def, like the top at that time too? This was probably like 2011, 10.
Yeah.
But like whatever, he's like a top amazing artist.
Yeah.
Have no openers, or why don't you have like a up and coming or a true person here
that relates to his music?
That relates to his music, and it was very clear that these people had somehow paid to go on the show. It was just like,
it wasn't the same type of music.
It wasn't.
At all.
It wasn't.
Yeah,
it wasn't.
yeah.
It was just like, then it just was like, man. And then his set was shitty also, but that's another story. But it's just like, man. And then you just start seeing that and just like getting approached by. It's just like kind of, that was part, I think, the beginning of my kind of like jaded period.
What is your favorite music venue in Chicago?
That's a great question. I think of like the real concert, like just like if I'm gonna go to a bigger concert, I'd say the Metro.
Yeah.
Just because they have good sound. The owner, Joe Shanahan, like very much cares about music.
Yeah.
I've never had like some of the venues, the security's on a 1,000.
Security
Yeah,
is
yeah,
so
yeah.
chill.
Like the Congress. Yeah, Metro is really
the
nice.
Congress.
That was terrible, man.
Yeah, the Congress is a horrible venue.
The Congress
Yeah.
was bad because look, the Congress didn't have personal security, right? Whoever was the promoter for that show, you have to provide the security. And for black shows, depending on what promoter it was, because I've worked stage management for 4 shows for the Congress Theater, and the last show I did was the French Montana, and
I can only imagine.
that look, the ticket sales was there, but I
Oh,
guess
they were?
the money wasn't there
Okay.
when he, you know what I'm saying? 'Cause
Yeah.
you have to send the money first, the
Oh,
deposit,
yeah.
and then when I arrive,
Right, you need
you
the
hit me
rest
with the
of it.
other. Yeah, I got that phone call from the promoter like, yeah, you're going to have to tell him French Montana not showing up. Nigga, I grabbed my
But
bag.
that's where your reputation can come
Right,
back.
right.
Yeah, I grabbed my bag, got my shit together, went to the DJ. I think it was at Dj.Rtc. Sorry for that. I went to him like, hey, French ain't coming. He like, what? These people are already pissed. It's like almost 12:30.
Oh, man.
I'm like, yeah, he ain't coming. So I advise you to get your assistant, get your shit, and play a couple more songs, and we out this bitch. Because at this moment, I'm handing you this envelope. This is your pay, and I'm gone. And I disappeared.
I'm lucky. I never had that scenario happen. I've had some close calls, but never had that. And again, it's just like, even why I like doing, just bringing it close, like back, it's just like with the legend conversation, I'm working with artists that they want the money, but it's not like they don't necessarily need the money.
Right.
A lot of them don't even make me do that whole deposit. Like, just, man, they'll be like, just pay me when I get there. They show up. I'd say we've done 12, maybe 6 have come with nobody else. They just are there. They just come themselves.
Right.
And then the other ones have one person that travels with them to like keep them company or whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's just like, they're all like grown-ups. They're not, it's just like no posturing.
No crazy
even though they're
writers.
legends, even though they're legends.
Yeah.
Right.
But they just are like mature adults. And like, if you create something that they want to do, I'm like, yo, we're going to honor you. This is going to be really cool. You don't like, you can just come be yourself. So yeah, I don't even get into that shit anymore. There's no like, I don't know the last time I really sent it, unless there's like real big travel expenses. Like they don't, it's just like, yo, yeah, I'm good. You're good. Your word is good. Like a lot, I don't have any, I haven't had
You have
any
a great
contracts.
reputation. Yeah.
Yeah, like because if you just do what you say, go back to Bun B, even like you do what you say you're gonna do, man, people will fuck with you. And there's no real like contracts. I've booked a majority of these via text, but they show up. Some of them are a little like hesitant, like, oh, you're saying it's gonna be this or that, and they show up. It's like, okay, yeah, you're right. Like,
I mean,
this
it's
is how
a
it is.
dope vibe. Like, you know what I'm saying? And it's the market for it now with podcasts being so popular.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just going into 2025, I've literally seen like 6 new podcasts from Chicago pop up on my timeline.
Yep.
Shout out to y'all, man. Just keep doing what you got to do. Stay focused, stay consistent, and produce good content. That's all I got to say. But yeah, like, we're in that phase where people are now listening to podcasts the way they are.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, to be able to sit, eat a meal with my wife or girlfriend, whatever, and be able to listen to a great, dope conversation.
Yeah. Yep.
Can't beat that.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's awesome. It really is a good thing, man.
Yeah,
Thank
and then after the joint, you turn it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Play some music. He gonna play his records because I know Alchemist got records.
Yeah, that was fun.
I was mad I missed that one. I was
a lot of people were mad.
Oh,
Yeah,
That
same,
was
same.
awesome. That was awesome, man. It was like, it was that and being on stage for Just Blaze's set at Dorian's after the talk. It was just like, I think the Just Blaze set just like that was amazing.
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
So
Man, bro. So what else you got coming up, man? On the
Yeah, for
closed
sure.
session side?
I think so. Right now, I mean, the main thing we got Rico Shy. We're finishing up his debut. It's called Flavors,
Okay.
and this is gonna sound stupid. Well, not stupid. It's gonna sound like you're lying. You're gonna say no, but we were in the studio the other day. He was playing me the songs in sequence, and I just really think this is like one of those classic debuts. And if we can position it right, where people be like, "Oh shit, this is like saying something. This is like his Illmatic." Not saying it is Illmatic,
Right.
but it's like, you know, somewhat like Sky Zoo's first album. I feel was an amazing entrance. He's, you know, if you know Sky Zoo, or like
Absolutely.
Lupe Fiasco, Food and Liquor. It's just like Black on Both Sides. Some of these first albums where it's like, oh, you could tell like your whole life you've had these messages, and like here it is. This is who I am. They come out fully formed as like, oh, okay, I believe what this is. That's Rico Shy. So we're working on that right now. We have a new song coming out called Walking Temple, produced by Static Selector. It's going to be coming out very soon, and then that's going to be the last song not on the project, and then we're going to get into his album, and then we're getting ready for the next Legend Conversation. With someone that, you know, I don't know if he's widely known, but if you know, you know. Yeah. I don't want to say.
You tell us off camera.
I'll tell you off camera.
Just stay tuned for Closed Sessions next joint. You feel what I'm saying? You're gonna like the motherfucker that come in.
But I really like Rico, man.
Yeah.
The visuals he's come out. I even saw the thing where he was like outside on the bench.
Yeah.
And this guy, the dude in the wheelchair is hilarious. He was on the other one where they were behind the counter.
Yep.
Yeah. No, I think he got something for real, man. I really do.
Great. I think so too.
Yeah. Well, this has been a pleasure, man.
Thank you.
It's been a dope conversation.
Thanks for having me.
So where can the people follow you at?
At Closed Sessions on Instagram, at Dj.Rtc, closedsessions.com. All those are great.
Oh, man, we love it. What you guys going to tell the people, man?
Real the Producer 914 Media Group, both on IG.
All right, man, I'm your boy, Class of 1979. This is Easily Offended, episode 72, right? 72. Man, thank y'all for liking, sharing, commenting. Man, hit that subscribe button, hit that alert button so you know when the new episodes are popping up and you can stay tuned. You know, I think this year I'm gonna do a Patreon. I think I may do a Patreon. I need a paywall.
There you go.
This shit costs, man. Y'all gotta kick in.
Start doing some live versions.
Man, you know what? We gonna do some live joints. I'm trying to get to the point where we ain't gotta really work.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It would be great. Like, you know, on the closeout, like I watched a great conversation on Breakfast Club. Mandy Moore, not Mandy Moore.
Oh, okay.
But Mandy B.
Oh, okay.
She had a See the Thing Is podcast and Horrible Decisions, and they just rebranded to Decisions.
Okay.
And she dropped a gem. Was like, you know, podcasts are dope, but you have to create a brand outside of podcast. Same thing like how you do the Closed Sessions. You have to create more things outside to fund what it is.
Right.
And that's like my goal for the next year. Like, is to find other avenues to get advertisement dollars.
Right.
So we, you know, hopefully next year we get a good check. Black Effect, holla at your boy. You know what I'm saying? We could just be like, hey, we get paid to talk shit on the microphone. You know what I'm saying? It would be great for me. I probably won't quit much.
From your lips to God's ears.
Yeah. I probably won't quit my job. I just like stacking money. Anyway, man, this is your boy, Class of 1979, man. Thank y'all. I really appreciate everybody that tunes in and pay attention every week, man. And we out, man. Peace.